The flow of willpower. In a small village nestled between tall mountains, there lived a man named Aaron. He wasn't famous, nor was he wealthy, but his name was known to all as a man who possessed immense willpower. People spoke of him in hushed tones, recounting stories of his ability to overcome nearly any obstacle that came his way. Aaron was the village blacksmith, a humble occupation that required both physical and mental strength. Yet, what made him extraordinary was not his skill with a hammer, but his extraordinary capacity to endure, to fight through, and to forge ahead, both in his work and in his life. It wasn't always this way for Aaron. As a young man, he had faced tremendous struggles. He grew up in a poor family, and his father had passed away when he was just a boy. His mother, though loving, was often ill, and Aaron had to take care of both her and the household from a very young age. Yet, even when the weight of his responsibilities felt unbearable, Aaron never complained. He carried on, because something deep inside him told him he could. He did not know it at the time, but this very inner resolve, his willpower, was beginning to create something more powerful than he could have imagined. One day, when Aaron was around 25, a sage came to the village. He was a man known for his wisdom, and he often traveled the lands, offering guidance to those who needed it. Hearing of Aaron's unshakable persistence, the sage sought him out. "Aaron," the sage began, "I have watched you for years. Your ability to keep going, even when life throws its worst at you, is remarkable. But what if I told you that your willpower is not just mental strength? What if I told you that it creates something greater within you? Something that can propel you forward even more than you could ever imagine?" Aaron was intrigued. "What do you mean?" he asked, curiosity brimming in his voice. The sage smiled. "Your willpower doesn't just keep you going. It flows through your body, directing energy in ways you can't even comprehend. The more you trust it, the more you rely on it, the more it feeds the energy within you. You are not just a blacksmith. You are a being of pure energy, and your willpower is the conduit. The more you use it, the stronger your body becomes, the more energy flows through you, and the greater your achievements." Aaron didn't fully understand what the sage meant, but the words resonated deeply within him. That night, he lay in bed, thinking about it. He had always believed in the power of hard work and persistence, but the idea that willpower itself could generate a force, an energy, he hadn't considered before. The next day, Aaron began to experiment. Every time he faced a challenge, no matter how small, he focused not just on the task but on his willpower. He would remind himself of his strength, his determination, and his ability to rise above any circumstance. He made a conscious effort to believe in the energy within him. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Aaron noticed subtle changes at first. His work became easier, his mind clearer, and his strength greater. He no longer felt as exhausted after a long day of hammering metal. In fact, he felt a deep well of energy surging through him. He could work longer, harder, and faster than ever before. His body seemed to move with a rhythm, as if the very essence of the universe was flowing through him. But it wasn't just his work that improved. Aaron noticed a change in his overall life. His interactions with people were filled with calm confidence. He was able to stay patient in stressful situations. His decisions became sharper, and his mood became more balanced. He found that the more he tapped into his willpower, the more his life seemed to align with his desires. He felt quite literally unstoppable. One winter, a terrible storm hit the village. The snow piled high, blocking roads and trapping people inside their homes. The village faced a shortage of food, and many grew anxious. The situation was dire. But Aaron remained calm. He gathered a group of villagers and, with their help, began chopping wood to fuel the fires. Using his newfound energy, he worked tirelessly. His hands didn't shake, his strength never waned, and even though others struggled with exhaustion, Aaron seemed to have an endless reserve of energy. As the days passed, The storm subsided, but Aaron's energy never diminished. People began to look at him in awe, wondering how he could maintain such relentless focus and strength, even in the hardest of times. Aaron finally shared with them what he had learned, that willpower was not just a mental state, but the very flow of energy in the body. The more you tapped into it, the more you could achieve, not just with your mind but with your whole being. Years went by, and Aaron continued to thrive. The village, once struggling, became a place of prosperity, with Aaron's influence and teaching spreading far and wide. His reputation as a man of unshakable willpower grew, and people traveled from distant lands just to learn from him. But Aaron remained humble. He never saw himself as special, but merely as someone who had learned to harness the power that was inside him all along. In his final years, as Aaron lay on his deathbed, he thought back to everything he had achieved, not with brute force, but with the quiet, unwavering strength of his willpower. He had tapped into something deeper than mere motivation, a flow of energy that had carried him through life's toughest battles. With a smile on his face, he whispered his last words, not in fear, but in gratitude for the incredible journey he had taken. Willpower, he said, is the key to everything. The more you believe in it, the more it will carry you. And with that, Aaron passed away, his spirit carrying the wisdom of a lifetime, reminding the world that true power resides not just in the body, but in the unshakable will of the mind.